What's up YouTube, I'm just another guy and welcome back to Gibraltar United. So here we are today, we're in the 28th of August, we are through to the Champions League group stages once again, as expected. But we've got a little bit of things, or a few things to go through, so let's go through them. I'm going to start off in the most logical place in my mind, which is transfers, because we have added a few more players than the original ones that we added previously, but we also have the guys officially coming in or have been brought in, so let's have a look at them. So Sergio Martinez is the goalkeeper, 7.25 million, which I showed you the clauses last episode, so I'm not going to go through that. But the 28-year-old Argentine looks very good so far. He has not conceded a goal in any 6 of the games he has started for us in Europe, so has an incredible record so far for us, as you would expect though. We're not really being tested in the qualifying anymore. But yeah, I think Martinez is a great goalkeeper in the step up we have been looking for. Next guy is Fumaka. I'm going to pronounce it like that until I'm corrected otherwise. 22-year-old Brazilian. So the fact that he's 22 really did draw me into this guy. I like the fact that he's so young. Definitely, you know, means we can use him and utilize him for a few years, which I think is great. Again, in terms of transfers, he was 5.5 million, but not all of that was up front. And again, I think this guy's great. And again, I think the sort of partnership or partner I've been looking forward to sit alongside Bakayoko now for a while, because, you know, Perez was there last year, Mati has been there for previous years, but they both have been prone to, have made mistakes, I should say, in very important occasions. And I kind of want someone that won't do that. And I think this guy definitely could. You know, if we look at his attribute analysis at the bottom, I think he's got the makings to be a very good player for us in Europe. And the last two guys are just backup players. I felt the squad depth was not what it could be or should be, so I decided to bring in a few better players. Jay Eastwood was the first guy we went after. Englishman, 24 years of age, as a backup striker. Again, a bit like the player who we signed last year. Let me see if I can actually... I can't actually find him on that list, but a bit like Runusev, whatever his name was, a bit like him, where he just sat on the bench and didn't really feature much. Jay Eastwood is going to be filling in that role for us this season, so don't expect him to be in the squad at all, really, in terms of European games, unless we get a few injuries. And also, the last guy we signed for this season is David. Now, I think it's pronounced like that. 24 years of age, Brazilian. This guy looks pretty decent, I have to admit. Only 24 as well. Free transfer, so both of these guys are free transfers. And I think he's a very good backup player. He'll probably be featuring occasionally in the league, although, again, he's more of a distant backup, more of a third-choice centre mid, sort of third-choice centre attacking mid, and sort of I would shift him down to defensive mid if need be. So, yeah, he's more of a guy that will play if need be. And so far he has been needed a little bit. He's appeared once in Europe and also started the game in the Pepe Reyes Cup. So, yeah, like I say, I'm happy with the signings we brought in. 12.75 million spent, which I believe is the most we've ever spent. I think I'm correct in saying that. So as you see, you know, we're spending a lot of money. We splashed out the cash this year on 2 very big players, which will hopefully help take the club to the next level. In terms of outs, not really many key players leaving. Mebaraku left on a free transfer. He's still without a club. John Brown left to go to Ireland, which has been a destination he's probably been heading for a few years. I mean, he spent quite a lot of time there on loan in comparison to the time he spent at our club, and he was never going to become anything here, but he can definitely become something in the Irish League, so it made sense he returned there. He left on a free transfer due to the fact his contract was expiring. Elsewhere, we released a lot of youth players, of whom I expect a lot of them will go on to play for smaller clubs in Gibraltar. As you can see, I'm just flicking through here, and it seems like majority of them will be playing for either Premier League or Second Division teams, which is good. You know, at least our players are being picked up and are being used, and not all of them just fall away and end up retiring without achieving anything. In terms of loans, which I think is very important, I decided anyway, to extend a few contracts for some of the young Gibraltarian players here. Again, you guys suggested that I could try and sign some of the key Gibraltar national team players, and I felt that's correct. You know, I should be doing that. I should be trying to benefit the national team as much as possible. Of course, I'm getting the youth upgrade this season. I've improved my youth recruitment last year, which I'll see the effect hopefully this youth intake this season. So what I did is I extended the contracts for both Kevin Stockbridge, Simon Hope and Billy Jones, who have all been loaned out to Lincoln Gibraltar. So they'll be playing first team football, should be playing first team football, which will only benefit the national team. And that's good, you know, that's what we need need to do, because more times than not, if I release these players, typically they're not signed by Lincoln. And another thing as well, I don't even know if these guys' wages are being paid by Lincoln or not, and I don't really care if they are or not. They're not a lot for a club of our size, and therefore, you know, even if more times than not, I offer these guys out on loan if they're not picked up after a while, and say, look, I'll pay all the wages, just play in first team football. And I think, like I said, I think for these 3 guys, that's what happened. I offered them out on loan and said, look, I'll pay all your wages, just make sure they're in the first team every week, and hopefully, like I said, they'll get that at Lincoln. We sold our only player this season to actually be sold for a fee, was Armando Cox to Derby. Of course, with Sergio Martinez coming in, we really don't need 3 keepers. Armando Cox on a pretty large wage in comparison to our club, for our club anyway. And for a backup player, basically, I didn't really feel the wages were needed or needed to be spent in that area. So we let him go. He only had 1 year left in his deal as well, so it was important that we kind of got rid of him and tried to make a little bit of money if we could. Ended up only getting 200k, which I'm not particularly pleased with. I thought we could get a lot more for him, because he's a very good goalkeeper, and it says something that he's gone to the championship of how good of a keeper he actually is. But still, 200k is better than nothing, and it means we did get 200k profit on him. And the last few guys are just loan deals, but they're not particularly great players. So those are transfers. I think it's a decent window. I think we've made some improvements. Obviously, we made great strides forward. I sort of want to talk about a few other things as well in terms of the squad before I go into things. And it's about contract extension. So, of course, we signed Amari this year just to sort of, you know, get him back into first team football and try and benefit the national team by him playing, or at least training at a full-time club. And I then remembered that Gerard Debay, who is a 23-year-old Ivorian centre-back, now, he's someone that could be following in Amari's footsteps in the future. His contract actually expired at the end of last season, so if I hadn't offered him a new extension, he wouldn't be in the club. He wouldn't be at the club today. But I remembered that he's actually now been at the club for 3 years, which means he could declare nationality, which he has. So he's declared nationality for Gibraltar. Now, once he gets to the end of this season, I believe, he can start playing for the national team. So we could be inheriting a new centre-back for the national team next season, which is good. You know, he's around the same level as Amari, which means he's going to be one of the best centre-backs for Gibraltar, which is good. So hopefully, like I said, hopefully we can get a few more of these types of players through, although it does seem unlikely with the young players that we're now playing in our first team actually featuring for their international. You know, Hamerli, who is now the new captain of our team, I feel like I should mention that. He plays for Switzerland already and he's only 19. Hamza Benabdella, I think he's going to be playing for some national team in the future, whether it's Algeria or France. I definitely don't think he's going to be picking our nation. Giselle, I believe, is already someone that's been played. Yeah, he's been played by Croatia. This guy, I don't know if he's actually been here long enough. When did we sign El Habib Baroui? He is actually Gibraltarian, so he could be someone that could play for the national team as well in the future. So we've got a few maybe that could feature for the national team in the future, which is something obviously I would like to see. Like Pablo dos Santos. Maybe he could be someone as well. 21, been at the club long enough. So, yeah, maybe we could get a few more of our players playing for the national team in the next few years, which should always be, obviously, a great thing. So, that's enough about the squad. That's enough about talking around. Let's talk about how we did in Europe. So, to start off, we had KR, obviously. You knew about that last time. We won 4-0 at home in a really dominant display. And, you know, from start to finish, we dominated and thoroughly deserved a 4-0 scoreline. Followed up with a 3-0 victory at away from home as well against the Icelandic champions. We then played Apoel, I think it's Apoel. I think you pronounce it. I think someone said you pronounce it. I don't know. Either way, we played the Cypriot champions and we beat them 9-0 at home at Europa Point in this game as well. We had a 10,000 crowd, so a massive crowd come to watch us. And like I said, we really entertained them. We had Hamza Benabdella scoring 4 goals, getting his hat-trick in the 57th minute, scoring a penalty. We had Musa Sanogo getting a hat-trick as well, just before the end of the first half, and getting one just after the hour mark. And we also had Sidibe score 2 goals, and he could have got a hat-trick if he hadn't had given Hamza Benabdella the chance to get his hat-trick in the 57th minute. So, really dominant display in that first leg. Second leg was less entertaining, obviously. Away from home, we only picked up a 2-0 win, but I understand, you know, it was about not really becoming complacent in the away leg, and we did that well enough, let's say that. After that, our next competitive game was against Lincoln in the Pepe Reyes Cup, where we played the second team. And as you see, Jay Eastwood scored 2 goals, and so did Miro Giselle, who was playing out on the wing for this game in a very dominant display over Lincoln. 5,000 people turned up for the game, a capacity crowd, and Lincoln only had 1 shot. So there is a massive golfing class between our team and Lincoln team. But bear in mind, of course, Lincoln can't play their lone players against us, so their team is somewhat weakened for the matches against us because they're missing their first choice goalkeeper, their first choice centre back in Stockbridge, and their first choice striker in Hope. So obviously there are some hindrances, but there still is a massive golfing quality because those players that I have loaned to them wouldn't make my first team in a mile. So you know, clearly the other teams in Gibraltar are struggling right now, or definitely nowhere near the standard we are. But you know, with now 2 teams entering the Champions League, or 2 Champions League spots up for contention in this league now, hopefully the team finishing in second, which could be Lincoln, will see a lot more money coming their way, which could be invested obviously in players and stuff. And in fact, I kind of want to point out something with Lincoln, because with our nation, it's sort of hard to sign foreign players, and strangely enough, they've actually signed a few foreign players, which I'm happy with, because it shows they're making progress. Felix Polder, I think, 23 years of age, played for a German second Bundesliga team. A little bit, played for their second team, let's say that. They were in the Bundesliga second division and actually in the Bundesliga once. But he played for their second team, actually played pretty well for them. He's gone to Lincoln this season. So I think that's a great addition for them. And also they've signed a Turkish right back, 23 years of age. So they're now signing players who maybe didn't make it at their original side, but they're sort of at the level where we were ages ago, right at the start of the save. But once we started hitting the Champions League, we started signing these sorts of players at this sort of quality. So they may be lagging behind us, but we're also going to give them a massive jump soon in the future if they can continue to finish second, because they'll get massive benefits from entering the latter stages of the Champions League without having to do all the qualifying that we had to do. But there you go, there's the players we loaned them, as you see, Hope, Stockbridge and Jones. And in the last games of the Champions League, as I've been sidetracked there off a tangent, we played Botev, who I believe are the Belarus champions. No, the Belgium champions. Sorry, I meant, not Belgium, but the Bulgarian champions. I was meant to say Bulgarian. I said Belarus, though. And the other one. But yeah, we won 4-0 in the home game. Again, another really dominant performance from start to finish. We scored 2 before it even reached double figures in terms of minutes passed. So, really dominant display from start to finish. Probably could have scored more, but heck, the performance was incredible from the team yet again, and we won 3-0 in the away leg, our highest, equal highest away record so far in this Champions League campaign. So, another good display. Maria scored 2, Sonogo got a goal as well. So everyone's scoring, everyone performing really well. The performances, the match stats are just really, really positive. And that's, to me, at these qualifying stages, like I said, the result is expected. We're expecting a win. But the performances are then the things I'm worrying about, I'm looking at. Because if it's an even match but we win 3-0, then maybe the midfield or the defence needs working on. But we've dominated them from start to finish without really giving away a shot. So, you know, the squad is way too good to be entering this early or this stage of the competition. I say we deserve group stage football from the off. So that's good. So before I go into this group stage draw for the Champions League, let's talk about the other teams in Europe. And we'll start with... we'll end up with Lincoln because obviously they entered at a latter stage. But I believe the first team, or Britannia, we'll go to them. So they entered the first qualifying stage, and I believe they were playing Bray Wanderers, which I said was a game they could win. No, it wasn't, sorry. They were playing Spartak, and they were given the heavy favourites tag for some reason. I don't know what reason. And they ended up losing quite heavily. They lost 7-0 in aggregate. They lost 4-0 away from home and were dominated, and they lost 5-0 at home. And again, this game actually, they were dominated on possession-wise, but match stats not too unfavourable, but the performance from their players was very poor. So, I just noticed the next player of ours, Eric Bufton. I think he played a few times for us, if I'm correct. Yeah, he did. But yeah, they were dominated from start to finish. So another poor display from Britannia in Europe, in one of their 4 camp. Actually, look at that. They got promoted and have been in Europe 4 times in a row. So good on Britannia. They're looking like they're becoming a pretty big team in this league. The other team apart from Lincoln, I can't remember. Apologies for this. I can never remember the team. I think it was St. Joseph's. Okay, so they played Bray Wanderers, and I actually thought they were going to win. And disappointingly, they lost. They lost 1-0 at home. I'm not too sure how they did here. Again, not a performance they can really be proud of. The team let themselves down. Performances were poor all around the field. Actually, it says something as well for your team. When your strikers are having a bad game, it means that you're not taking your chances. So St. Joseph will be disappointed with that, and away from home they lost 1-0 as well, so it ended up being knocked out 2-0 in aggregate, but not a bad scoreline, not being thrashed, but still they could have been beaten and probably should have been beaten Bray Wanderers, because really, two semi-pro teams playing for two half-decent leagues should be doing a little bit better, but again, I think it shows the fact that the money hasn't really trickled down in this league yet. Hopefully it will in the future though. And the last team, obviously, we're going to talk about is Lincoln. So how did they do entering the second qualifying phase? Well, they got a very favourable draw. They played Connors Quarry, who are a semi-professional team, I believe, from Wales. I could be wrong there, though. They could have turned professional since the game has started. They are now a professional team, actually. So, yeah, I lied. They have turned professional. But they're a professional team from Wales, and I thought they would have the beating of them. They did in the first leg. They won 2-1 with the new German striker scoring them 2 goals. In the away leg, however, it was a lot more... There was loads more goals. Dan Evans, who is a player that got sent off recently from my Gibraltar team, got sent off in this game as well in the 90th minute. But he did end up going through just about. Their 82nd minute goal from Simon Hope, our player on loan, ended up being the winner despite Connor Quarry's late fight back with 2 goals in the last 2 minutes of the game. So they were pushing for the third, obviously, but time was against them. So pretty fortunate to get through the second qualifying phase of the Europa League. In the third qualifying phase, though, they were knocked out to the French team, I believe, I can't pronounce that. Not going to try. Aries, whatever. Yeah, the French team, they were knocked out by them, but obviously the golfing quality between the French league and our league is still miles apart. I think the French league is the best league in Europe, so it was to be expected. But again, they weren't maybe not necessarily thrashed from start to finish, so hey, Lincoln have something to be proud of. They won in Europe and got through a stage in Europe. So let's move on to this Champions League draw. I kind of just want to talk about something. Again, I'm going to delay this just a few more seconds. Bear with me. The money for this league in terms of TV is downright crazy. I'll hopefully put a picture up on the screen for you guys to see, which I screenshotted at the time because I don't think I can find it now in my inbox. But the TV revenue for this league, we're picking up something like 60 million. Again, I don't have the number up in front of me, but 60 plus million. And now, I don't know where that's gone because, as you can see here, we don't actually have 60 million. I think it's being spread out over the months. But that is crazy, crazy amounts of money. So, clearly we've got some big TV deals somewhere for Gibraltar, and I don't know where, but hopefully, like I say, it's benefiting the other teams in our league. We don't necessarily need the money for TV rights and stuff like that, but the teams in our league really do need the money, and they do need to start improving. And I would like to make this league a full-time professional league, which it isn't yet because there are still only 2 professional teams out of the 8 teams in our top league. So hopefully we can improve that. Anyway, let's go on to this draw. So we are a 3rd seeded team. Sadly, we just missed out on being a 2nd seeded team. Too many teams entered out this competition this year who had or have good seedings. So no one had a bad year in their domestic league. But anyway, let's draw the first 2 teams as we normally do, and then have a little look at who we want to be facing. So I think Group H is definitely one we want to be going to. Lyon are definitely a team I feel we can beat. Elsewhere, we beat Chelsea, of course, last season as well. Maybe Group E. Group E looks like a pretty tough team. Monaco are, of course, one of the better teams in this league now. In fact, PSG went on to win the competition last year, so they'll be knocked out by the eventual winners. We can't be too disappointed with that. But we do want to be avoiding Group A. But yeah, whatever, let's go into this. So, we are going to be playing in one of the bottom groups. We're going to be playing against Levante or Juventus. So yet again, we're playing Juventus, a team I don't think we've played in a while, but we do like playing Italian teams in Europe. Let's get the last team drawn into our group. And to wrap it up is Red Bull Salzburg. So a pretty easy team to end off the group. Let's continue it forward and let's get that all officially confirmed in. I've got some European qualifiers coming up pretty soon for Gibraltar. I've selected the national team. I think there are a few changes, but none that I will fill you in right now because, like I said, I don't think it's too important. And of course, I will be live commenting a game later on in the season. But there you go, we've been having a tough group, although I don't know how tough it may be. Obviously, you'll have to wait and see there. We start off very, very tough game against Juventus away from home. If we can get a result there, I think we can get a result anywhere in our group. So, yeah, we're definitely starting off with an uphill climb. But, yeah, I don't know how difficult this group's going to be. You know, with Juventus, obviously they're one of the top teams in Italy. However, we've played them in the past and put up a good contest when we have. When was the last time we played them? There we go. We played them in 2028, so a good 3 years ago we played them, and we lost them on both occasions. However, if I remember correctly, we put up a good fight. I think I could be wrong there. I probably am wrong there. But yeah, I don't really fear Juventus that much. I mean, obviously I fear them, and I think we will struggle away from home, but I definitely think we can get a result. Levante, again, times have changed in this league so far, so much in this save, I should say. 2031, bear in mind, that's so many years ahead now of the actual real life game. Pretty much all the real people have now officially retired. But by looks of it, they're a 5th place team. I don't know how they've got Europe with 5th place. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how they've managed to wiggle that one in. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think I particularly fear Levante. I think we can definitely get a result against them. And of course, Red Bull, I think they're going to be a team we can definitely beat. So yeah, I definitely think it's a group we're going to get through in the top 2. But obviously, like I said, I wanted an undefeated group 1 year, or maybe a group where we don't lose. Let's say that. So if we can draw against Juventus, we can keep that hope alive. But either way, guys, I'll meet you back for the Juventus Levante games. And until then, peace out.